I want to show you how to make a beautiful springtime veneer. Hello beautiful, how are you today? I just want to let you know that when you see my hands, don't be shocked, it really is me. I'm not being impersonated, okay? If you've watched my videos before, you get that joke. Okay, we're gonna do something easy today. Since I've done things a little more complicated the past couple of weeks, we're gonna do something really easy. First, I need to make a color recipe. I think most of you know how to make a color recipe, but if you've never made one before, I'm gonna explain that right quick. Most color recipes are gonna give you parts, like 1 part this color, 3 parts this color, etc. It doesn't matter how much clay you use as long as your parts are equal. Like, you could put the clay on a really thin setting and use a teeny tiny cutter like this if you only needed a little bit, or you could put your clay on a really thick setting and use a cutter this big if you need that much. It all depends on how much you need. The main thing is you want all of your clay that you're going to be using in the recipe, you want them all to be the same thickness, and you want to use the same cutter for each one. That way each part is equal. As long as each part is equal to another, you're good. For me, I have all of my clay on the thickest setting, and I'm going to use this size cutter. I think that'll give me about the amount that I want. There we go. 1 part forest, 1 part green, 1 part mint. And if I didn't mention it before, these are Primo colors. So that's one recipe. The next recipe is going to be 1 part green, 1 part forest. I'm going to have to run this to the pasta machine right quick. 1 part forest, and I need 6 parts mint. But I don't need that much clay, like if I was to use 1 cutter for each. Let me go ahead and cut out some of these and then I'll decide. I think probably what I'll do is cut these in half or in quarters. If I cut it in half, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let me just cut these in half and see if I think that's still going to be too much clay. Now I'm just eyeballing this because it doesn't have to be, I mean, for me, it doesn't have to be exact. It's going to be close enough. But now if you wanted it completely exact, you're going to need to use a smaller cutter. That's still going to be, I'm just going to go with it. I mean, I could cut this in quarters, but I think I'll just go with it like this. Okay. Let me get these colors blended up. I'm also going to be using some white and some fluorescent pink. I wish I had more fluorescent pink. That's all I got left. So this project may not be that big. All right, let me get these blended up. Got my blends made up, and I'm going to make 2 color blends, pink and white, and then my dark green, my light green. Now this color blend will be very subtle, but that's what I'm looking for. And this, like I said, this is all the fluorescent pink I had left, and I want these 2 color blends to be pretty much the same size so I don't have, you know, a lot of leftover. So I did the same as if I was doing a recipe. I rolled them all out to the same thickness, cut them out with a cutter. I did 2 of the dark and 2 of the white. and then that way they're all pretty much the same size. Instead of cutting these out, because I already have them in equal parts, I'm just going to do a teardrop blend. Okay, I started blending my pink and white and realized that I had messed up a little bit. Okay, I had the blend like this, but then as I got going, I remembered that I didn't want solid white on the end. So see, like this one is only going to be blended up to here, and then the rest of this is going to be just the dark green. Same here, be blended about right here to right here, and then the rest will be the solid green. And the same thing, this right here in the center will be the light green. This, I wanted the pink all the way on both sides. I didn't want the solid white on the end. So in order to fix that, let me show you what you can do. Instead of folding it straight like this, see, I already have some pink blending in over here. But instead of folding it straight, let me just move that out of the way. Instead of doing it that way, you're going to offset it just a little bit like that, and that will move the pink over and the white over. So then the next time I want to fold it just a little bit more the other way. Got my blend done now. It turned out beautiful, but I have one issue with it. I don't know if you could tell as I was working with it or not, but it's super sticky, like way too sticky to do what I need to do with it. So I'm going to leach it. If you don't know what leaching is, that is pulling the oil out of it so it's not so sticky. It firms the clay up some, just like adding softener to it, like the oily softener from Sculpting. It makes it softer and stickier. Okay, I'm going to do the exact opposite. To do that, I'm going to put it between a couple of pieces of plain printer paper. You do want to make sure it's plain. Don't use notebook paper that has lines on it, or anything that has like printed stuff or anything like that on it, because that will wind up on your clay. It may have already started. No, it hasn't. Okay, I was going to show you what it looks like once it started leaching, but it's not, hasn't started yet. There's a couple of things you can do to speed the process up. You can put something heavy on top of it, and or you can make your clay thinner. The thinner it is, the faster and more even that it will leach. I left mine at a number 3 because I didn't want to thin out my blend and then have to go back and redo it. So I'm going to leave mine as it is. I'm hoping it will leach out pretty fast. I'm going to let it leach while I'm doing this. I don't think that's going to be long enough, but I'll see. You may have noticed that I had a lot of bubbles in this when I was rolling it out. You want to get your bubbles out as soon as you see them. If you see them, get them out if you can. Once you start rolling this out and get it thinner, you will see those bubbles even more. So you want to pop them, slice them, whatever you need to do. You need to get rid of those bubbles. Okay, so I'm going to roll this out, let this leach for a while, and then we'll go to the next step. It didn't take them long to get where I needed them to be, and to test if they were as stiff as I wanted them, because I want to make a striped sheet. So what I did is I just did a little cut and made sure that it stuck on my blade, and then I knew it was stiff enough to do what I needed it to do. Sorry, the camera's moved. Y'all, this camera holder that I've got has just about had it. Things like that are why I ask y'all, if you can and you enjoy my videos, to donate, because it really helps me to purchase things like that I need to film with. And I have a link at the top of my YouTube page that has my PayPal. It's a link to my PayPal, and you can do just a one-time donation, or you can set up a recurring donation. I think you can set it up for like once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever time span you want. I did control these blends as they went through the pasta machine so that I would have them both about the same width. So this is a Kato Mark Sit tool, and it has different millimeters. This is a 5 millimeter, 3, 7, 10. I'm not sure which I want to do. I don't know if I want to do the 7 or the 10. Okay, this one has a chip right there on the 7, so we'll go with 10. There's my answer. I've already started on this. I'm sorry I had to pause you because somebody was out in the parking lot jamming out in their car. So what I'm doing is I'm placing this here, and then I'm just gonna rock it over onto my clay and press, and that's it. And then I've got my marks, and when I'm ready to cut, I can just follow that mark there, and I know that all my cuts are the same distance, or the same width. And I marked it on both sides so that I get them straight. And then there was something I wanted to show you while I do the pink, and I've forgotten what it was. Of course I did. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. Which one? Okay, 10 millimeter. Mark it, and then I just want to go where this one's at and put 1 or 2 there at those same marks so that I know these are in place. And then I'll flip it around. Alright, on this side I want it straight across from here, or straight as I can get it, like perpendicular to my blend. So I'm going to place some sort of straight edge, which in this case is my blade because it's what I had handy. Get it as squared up as I can, and then line my first mark up with this, and just kind of slide that out of the way. I think I moved it. I'll try again. Y'all, I'm sorry, I'm kind of sniffly today. I don't know why. Go ahead and mark that just a little bit so I'll know. Well, that didn't mark, but still, I think I've got it, and I don't think I moved it. We'll find out in a minute. Let's see. I think that's good. Now comes the fun part. So first I've got to get this straightened up. So I've got to make my first cut there. I'm not going to use this one. And I didn't quite get that in the right spot. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm trying to get it as close as I can. Okay, so there's my first cut, and I want to leave this stuck to the blade if it will stick. Kind of rock your blade down just a little bit. Aha! Worked. Alright, and then, oh, sorry about the noise. I'm gonna set it down here, and once again rock my blade a little bit. Okay, and it's not coming off, but that's probably because I'm on a matte tile. So I'm just going to hold it with my finger there and then move on to the pink. So all I'm doing here is just making a blended striped sheet. We're also going to change it up a little bit. Alright, there's my first one, and I kind of sort of have them lined up. So for this, the next one, and the rest of them from here on out, I want to offset the color blend. So like this one, let's go maybe here. But then, let's see, go ahead and cut that pink off. Then from here, I'm going to cut it off and move it over here. Now this is why I did a 3-part blend instead of 2. So that way each end of my blend has the same color on it. So when I cut it and move it, the color is gonna match up. Make sense? So like with this one, I have the light pink on the end. My pink's a little bit wider than my green, so I'm going to have to cut my pink off. But this time, let's move it here. So the dark pink, now I have one here and one here. That way they're offset. Now I've got the light pink here. So when I move this down here, the colors will match. One thing to note is that I don't need to go any wider or any longer this way than my pasta machine. These are on a number 3, and normally I do my earrings, or at least the front side, on a 5. So I want to roll these, put these through the pasta machine and stretch them out once I get finished, and that will solidify them, get them together. So I need to make sure it's not longer than my pasta machine is wide. Okay, I think I've got this about the length I need it where it will fit into my pasta machine. I'd rather it be a little bit short than too wide to where it won't fit. I hope you could tell when I was doing this how well it stuck to my blade and how easy it was to move it around. And especially like when I cut one end off and move it to the other end, it made it so easy that I leached it first. This clay was way too sticky. If I had leached it first, it never would have done that. So just keep that in mind if you're doing this. Before I can pick this up, run it through my pasta machine, I'm just going to use one of these pieces of paper I've already been using, and I've got to burnish it to make sure it's all stuck together, because if not, as soon as I pick this up off the tile, it's going to fall apart. And I really don't want it to do that. Now, like I've taught you before, if you have a straight line pattern, you need to burnish in the direction of those lines. Like, I don't want to go this way or in circles. Straight back and forth. Let me get my soapstone. I do have an Amazon link to the soapstone. I will put that in the description box for you. It is an affiliate link, which means I would earn a small commission off of it if you order one through my link. Get this nice and stuck together. Pick it up and see what we got. No. Gotta keep going. Apparently I either didn't do it enough or I didn't put enough pressure. Which is hard to do from the wrong direction. Maybe when I was putting it together, I should have run it this way. I really didn't think about it. Sometimes we just don't think about things. I want to go in circles, and I catch myself, I'm trying not to. This blade right here that I've been using is pretty thick. It's very rigid. I'm pretty sure this came from Tiny Pandora. I will leave a link to her shop. That is Teresa's shop, Teresa Pandora. So I'll leave a link to that. Okay, here we go. Now I may have it stuck down too good, but I'm just gonna go easy, going back and forth with my blade. Got it at about a 45-degree angle to my towel. And just kind of saw it loose. There we go. Beautiful. Now the question is it going to fit in the pasta machine? I almost think I got it too wide. If it's a little bit wide, it'll be okay. Let's see. Well, look at that, would you? That is absolutely perfect. All right, I've got this on a number 3. I'm going to run it down to a 4 and then a 5. Forgot one thing that I wanted to do. I do want to square this side up. I'm going to run it, that's the side I'm going to run it through. I mean, it doesn't matter, but I want to square this up. This is my shortest piece, so I need to cut it there. Get it as square as I can. That way they'll all go into the pasta machine at the same time. You know, like this whole edge will go in at the same time, which will help cut down on the distortion. Alright, I got one of these done and I went ahead and made a second one. I had enough clay and one slab wasn't really big enough for what I wanted to do, so I made another one. This is how much clay I got left. Alright, so I got 2 out of these, and I could make another tiny one with these few strips if I wanted to. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with those just yet. Here I have a straight line, and that's because I did have some distortion as it went through the pasta machine. You can kind of see here these lines are widening out a little bit. That particular one is okay. On the other end, this is the end that it went through the pasta machine. This was the top end. Here, same thing. This was the end that went through the pasta machine, and this is the top. Now, on this one, it's not distorted all the way across. It's just right here on this side. So, to get rid of the distortion, I would have to cut right here. Well, instead of cutting this much of it off, I'm just going to kind of go like right through here and cut off just the distorted part. Because, you know, I can still use the rest of that, and there's no point in cutting it off here and wasting all that. I think this stripe here is okay, so I'm gonna go like that. I'll put this over here in my scraps. Not sure exactly what I'm gonna do with my scraps yet, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna make something really pretty. I'm debating on leaving one of these as is. Just do the stripes. I mean, I think that would be really cute. Just the stripes, and either sand it to a smooth matte, probably not polished, but sand it to a smooth matte, or cover it with resin. I know a lot of people don't like resin, but a lot of my customers seem to like it. One of them I know is not going to be resined, but I may resin the one. And we're going to work on this one. I'm sorry about the glare from my light on the tile. There's just not a lot I can do about it. That's why I normally work on a matte finish tile, but this one is my my large baking tile, and I don't want to pick this up after it's done. If you've watched me before, you know I cut out my shapes and that's it. I don't pick them up and move them after I cut them. I mean, unless I just absolutely have to, but normally I don't. So this is my baking tile. So sorry about the glare, but not a lot I can do about it. So I want to texture this, and a lot of times I use a nail brush. I have one of these that's a little bit bigger, and I like this texture that it leaves, but this part right here will not hold up to the alcohol. When you clean it, it'll make it crack and shatter. So they don't last very long, and then they don't cover a lot of space at one time either. So I decided to try these, which so far I'm loving. Now these are softer, so they don't make as strong of a texture as the nail brush. The nail brush will go a little bit deeper into the clay, so it makes a little bit heavier texture. This is really nice too, and these are not expensive. I mean, you know, you can buy them on the long handle, but I bought them just here, and then it's got this. If it's a little bit loose for me to do while I'm doing this, but you could use that if you wanted to. I will leave a link to Amazon and these, where I got these. All right, so time to pounce. Now from here, my plan is to add flowers to this. This would be absolutely beautiful as is, and this is the simple part of this. As I said, we were doing a simple project today, but I'm going to bump it up a little bit for me, and I'm going to add some flowers. I want to do them down a single stripe, I think, and not random. But you know I'm going to ask you, so tell me in the comments, would you do the flowers on the green stripe or the pink stripe? Let me know. I did some practicing to figure out my flowers, what kind I wanted, what size I needed them to be. So I started out here with the biggest one on a setting number 2 of my pasta machine. 0 is my thickest. And I used my largest little cutter like this. Now if I can find where I bought these, I mean, I know I bought them on Amazon, but if I can find these particular ones that I bought, I will link them. Have a little set of them, different sizes. All right, so this was a number 2 with this cutter. It was too big, so I went down to a number 4. Same cutter, still too big. So I thought, well, maybe I need to do 5 petals instead of 6. That didn't really make a difference. It's still too big. I did not want to go down another like 2 notches and use the same cutter. I always try to use the largest cutter that I can out of these sets, because the teeny tiny ones, the clay just gets stuck in there way too often. So I always try to use the biggest one, but this one was just too big. If you get your clay too thin, it doesn't work very well with these cutters either. So you need kind of a middle ground. So I went down to a number 5 and went down 1 size in my cutter. And I'm using the metal end, not the plastic end. But I went down 1 size in that. And they were the perfect size. I think it's so cute. I do like it on the green better, I think. The pink is really cute too. I also even thought about alternating, like pink, green, pink, you know, like do them at a diagonal and alternate. May do that, we'll see. I'm using fluorescent yellow for the center, and I'm using the same cutter and the same thickness as the petals themselves. And I'm going to show you how to make the flowers. Now, if your skill set is not up to sculpting flowers like this, even though these are like super easy and I'm going to show you how, but if you're still not comfortable doing this, you can always use a little flower cutter. Like I've got this teeny tiny little plunge cutter. That center is too big. I should have put a smaller center on it, but you get the idea. There again, I will link that little plunge cutter set for you. Okay, so now I've got to cut out an army of little circles. I'll be back, I don't know, in a week or so. Okay, I had more details of making these flowers recorded for you, but somehow it either got deleted or my camera cut off or I didn't press play. Something happened, I don't know. But I do plan to have a dedicated video just to making flowers when I get around to it. I want to show you a different way. If you don't want to have to roll up all of these little balls, whether it be, I don't know, time constraints or skill level, whatever reason. Another way that you can do it is to leave these little circles whole. Take your tool, gently slide it off there. This one don't want to come off. There we go. And just set it on there. Probably shouldn't press them down too hard until I get all my circles on there. And even if some of them get messed up a little, it's okay. Alright, so then you could leave it just like that. Or, I mean, that's cute like that, and then just put your center in there. Or you can take your tool and sculpt them just a little bit, which is my preference. I mean, I think that's a little bit nicer, but there again, if you don't have the time or the skill set to do that, just leaving them would be perfectly fine. And then stick your little center in there, and it's really just as cute as those. Before I just go full force with this, I'm going to test out a couple of things. I think it'll be alright if I take 2 rows and try the zigzag pattern. So I think that's what I would prefer. Once again, I did a little bit of playing around, and I have decided I like this zigzag pattern. That's what I want to go with. I'm going to have to measure this out very carefully, which even if I did just one stripe, I was going to have to measure it out because I want a very even, very specific pattern. I don't want it random. Alright, so got to measure. So I decided to put mine 1 inch apart. So, you know, I'm measuring a dot here and a dot here from the center of each flower. I just made a little mark like that as I measured. I don't know if you can see those little dots or not, but anyway, I made little dots. So now I need to take 6 little balls and arrange them around that dot. All of my balls are not completely circular, or no, not circular, spherical, like that one. But that's okay. Doesn't matter. That one didn't want to stay. I want to try to get them centered around the little dot there. Then I'm going to take my needle tool from Hippie Crafter. I love this needle tool. I have a whole jar full of needle tools over here. Like this. Some that I've made, some that I've bought. And this one is definitely one of my favorites. I'll link in the description box. So then I want to take this and I want to put the needle right in the center, right where that dot is already at. First I got to press it down just a little bit, make sure it sticks. Otherwise, if you don't, they'll just roll off when you go to put your mark. And I'm just pressing it down. Now, presumably you would do this on a tile where you could rotate it, but since I can't, And see, I still didn't get those stuck down well enough. They kind of scooted out a little bit on me. And I didn't press them in quite far enough. Now, how far, or the angle that you press in, or how far you press it in or out, that's completely up to you. These little dots, I didn't roll them in a circle. I'm going to leave them as a dot. Boop. Oh, I know why that was. Oops. I messed it up. Now I know why those were too far apart. Okay, I'm just going to see if I can get this whole flower off. I got that whole flower off. I only did 5 petals instead of 6. And with my 6 petals, I'm trying to keep, like, not the top here, but the top here. Like, petals straight, top and bottom. That makes sense? And not offset. So that there again, they're all the same, because I want this to be a repeating pattern. Now that looks much better. I don't know why I put 5. Now, if you wanted a 5 petal flower, you could do that. Or 4 or 8 or whatever you wanted to do. I just chose 6. One more thing to keep in mind. See how I got this half flower right here? You want to continue your pattern all the way to the edge and off the edge. So if you need to put a half flower there, you need to put a half flower there. Because if I was cutting out a piece that was gonna go, say, right here, then it's gonna be missing that part of the petal, and it's not gonna look right. You're gonna be able to see that you're missing part of the pattern. So anytime you're doing an all over pattern, you want to go off of the edge so that your pattern looks continuous. I'm doing the best I can with this camera holder. If it starts slowly sliding, I just can't help it. Like I said, I desperately need a new holder. Okay, this edge here is pretty straight, I think. So I'm gonna measure from there. Now, if they're 1 inch apart and they're offset, I obviously need to start at 1/2 inch, right? And if this is not centered left to right, it doesn't matter. I can go back and fix that later. I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I think I've showed you everything I needed to show you. And then I will speed you up, because this is going to take a little while. Remembering to start with this one ball facing up. What I mean by that is like not having the top of the flower like that or off to the side. I want them all the same. I want them all facing the same way. I really hope that makes sense. And then you just have to scoot them around a little bit until they, you know, got room for all of them and they're centered and all that good stuff. Okay, squish it just a little. And put my tool about where my mark is. And just press them out. I just think these types of flowers are just so cute. And they're easy to do. There we go. So I'm going to keep going. And yeah, I'll be finished in about a week. Okay, here is what I've gotten done on this so far. Just to give you a time reference, I want to say this took me a little over an hour, like just barely over an hour to get this far. And that's cutting out the balls, rolling them up, sculpting the flowers. Another thing to note is that I was going to just leave the centers just that little cutout circle. There's other things that you could do Could use a small ball tool and, like, you know, sculpt the centers where to have a little dent in it. You could use rhinestones in the center. I thought about using the rhinestones in the center, but I'm not so sure that this design calls for bling. If I do, it will be a teeny tiny, like a 1mm stone. I may try it like right here, or right just somewhere on the outside on 1 or 2 flowers maybe, and see if I like it. But what I should have done, if I was going to leave it like this, is I should have used just a tiny bit of liquid clay or clay adhesive, whatever, before I put these on, because I'm just not so sure they're making the best contact. Even though I kind of pressed them in, some of them are kind of sitting on top of those sculpted petals, and so I'm not sure they're making really good contact. But I also don't want to squish my petals trying to push the center in, so we'll have to think about that, figure out what to do. But I will either use a small ball tool and put little dents, or a teeny tiny rhinestone. Okay, my lovely, this is where I'm going to leave you. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you will try this for yourself, and most importantly, I hope you learned something. If you'd like to see the finished projects, make sure you follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Those links are at the top of my channel. So until we meet again, I hope you will go watch this video, or maybe even this one. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.